Thank you. Hello, good evening. Thanks for coming out. That's wonderful to be here. As I even showed, it's the first time that I'm ever in the store here. Actually, I was pouncing around all the time for years. I know this is a photographer's paradise here, but I have never been really in this place, nevertheless here at this lectern. But I want to give you an idea what I have done, how the conception of this book was, how it all works together. And at the second time, I just want to have a good time with you and see how much you are really New York buffs and know already what is in this book. So these are the two things I do want to accomplish with you. Okay, how did I make this book? I had to set up some rules for that because you imagine you come from a different country, and I was a journalist. I was writing for a newspaper. I set up an online edition for a national daily in Germany, the so-called Frankfurter Rundschau. And I came as a storyteller over here with an academic background. And I always did photography since I could walk, basically. But I had to streamline a little bit this approach to this book. And the one is the game approach. And about the other rules I put up in my head, I want to talk a little bit. So to make that work for everybody, I thought every single photo in this book should have a unique, clearly identifiable location. It doesn't help to show you the ATM machine in Brighton Beach because it's in Russian, because you still don't know where it is, for example, but it has to be something you can recognize. So where are we here? That's Arch in Washington Square, very good. This one? That is very good. Yeah, that's. I call it the Tudor taxi, and I have another one which is the Tudor limo. The same in black. You see the Tudor buildings, because there's this overpass on 42nd Street where you can look downstairs, and this is easy. That's the Manhattan Bridge. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the second one would be, sure enough, we talk about the five boroughs and not somewhere else. So something like this would qualify. It's the United Nations, that's right, and it's. What's in the foreground? That's in the foreground. These are pilings on the ferry terminal on 34th Street when you stand at the East River. This one is well known, I guess. Geary and Nouvelle buildings on West Street around 18th Street. Okay, the next one is I tried to make it so that it could work a little bit inspirational. So if you want to go to the same places and see what you see, because this is my very subjective view on the city and how I encounter that, and you will certainly not encounter the same thing, but you will see it with very different eyes. I want it to be publicly accessible and that you can get there at no cost. Okay, that says basically where it is. It's just about if you know the location where we are here. Prince Street on the corner of Mercer, yeah. Fantastic bar to the day. Can be pretty rough in the morning, but it's a very interesting place. Had his own profile in the New Yorker. The Serbian ex-boxer who was running the bar usually. So if you're out for an adventure, go there after 2 o'clock in the morning. It's really wild. People was the big question. As I said, I'm not a good people photographer, and I said, okay, I don't want to have the city cleaned out of people. They are part of it, of the fabric, but I don't want to put an emphasis on individuals, except one is in it. That's him. That's our neighbor George, who lives on our block, and he came with the right color pattern and everything marching through my frame. So I got a model release from him, and he is in the book. That's the only one. Does anybody know where we are, by any chance? That's a tricky one, if you're not familiar with it. That's right at Tompkins Square Park on East 9th Street, where the Cafe Pick Me Up was on the corner of Avenue A. And the mural is still there. The building is sold to one of the dreaded real estate developers. Pick Me Up is already out. The neighbors are out. There's still one shop left in it. And we have friends who live in that building who got relocated within the building. So it's all the horrors going on you can imagine in this building. Lincoln Center, very good. That's a Rabson Fountain. And the funny story behind that is, this is where I love to have photos of people in the book, when they're a little bit abstract, when it's not about the person itself, but they stand for something else. So if you get the idea that might be a dancer because we are at Lincoln Center, you're totally wrong. This is a shopping girl which is sitting there with her phone texting, and she has shopping bags next to her. But the silhouette made it, and I thought, lovely. The next thing would be sculptures, because they don't move. I can frame them easier. For me, it's just easier to get them in. This is, I tell you first who it is. This is Abraham Lincoln, and that's the only known sculpture of Abraham Lincoln on horseback. And he is on the inside of the arch at the Grand Army Plaza in Brooklyn. And on the other side is General Grant. And they're looking at each other and just sitting on the horse and riding along in the inside of the arch. It's a beautiful piece. And it's the Supreme Court building on Madison Square. It's 25th Street, right? And it's a beautiful building anyway. It's very compact, but it's plastered with figures. It has Confucius and all kinds of lawmakers and philosophers lined up on the roof line. It's absolutely a gem to look at for its architecture. And then I show you one more of the sculptures. Do you know where we are here?
It's a Picasso sculpture on the NYU campus.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, that's just south of Washington Square Park. It's a Picasso sculpture of Sylvette. She was a model for him in 1954. One of the few models he didn't fall in love with, but just used her as a model. And she started her own artistic career afterwards. And it was a small sculpture of steel about 2 feet high. And in 1968, a Norwegian sculptor, Nesjar, came and made a deal with Picasso to say, let's build this into this courtyard of the IMP buildings because they are brutalist. They are so hard. We have to counter that with something, and they built this beautiful sculpture in there. And you can walk around it, and it works wonderfully as a three-dimensional sculpture. One has to make choices, and especially if you have a digital camera, there's always the seduction that you take more photos than you really need. And somebody asked me recently, how do you usually go about it? And I said, it really depends. If I go and have to take photos of a parade, I come home with 1,500 photos easily. If I go to a location where I have time to set up and to think my light and exposure and whatever, then I take 2 or maybe 3. And that is good enough for the day. So it's really all in our heads, but you still come home with a bunch of photos and have to cull it out. And the problem is always, how do you do that not to fall into cliches? What do you really envision? What do you want to see? And I was looking back at my rule book, and I saw I had the incredible chance to get in the very prow of the Flatiron building, to stand in the balcony, and took a shot down. This is why you see the shadow of the building right to our feet. And I thought, okay, but it's not publicly accessible, so tough, it doesn't go into the book. Then there are ones which are just too generic, like this. I was joking around, this is where they keep the women in the winter. This is in Coney Island on the beach. A restroom, and it looked so locked up like a jail. I thought, okay, but nobody can identify this. It just doesn't have enough markers to tell you anything about it. Another beautiful scene was serendipitous as well. We were in Staten Island because you can't really recognize it. It's the Verrazano Bridge in the background, and there was Illuminale, this light festival, where you see experimental movies, light sculptures, all kinds of ways how people deal with light. And it's right next to the ferry station in this old Navy area. And there was this kid standing in front of a screen and obviously seeing the first time what happens if you play with your own shadow. And it was just a beautiful picture, but again, it didn't give enough to identify what was really going on. Okay, rule number 7. More thought about the book again, to say, how do I make that easy for people who have never been here, who just know it from Sex and the City, or people who grew up here, which we have too. And how do we keep the balance between concretion and abstraction? So that's an easy one, I think everybody knows. Yeah, the Guggenheim Museum. And this one is easy too, I guess. The Flatiron building, right? And I just click through a little bit.
No, it's in the Bronx.
No, it's not the Bronx. I heard the right answer. It's Smallpox Museum by Renwick and the 59th Street Bridge in the background. And
That's before it was renovated. It's on
It's
Roosevelt Island?
it's before it's renovated. It's on Roosevelt Island, and we are standing just south of the Smallpox Museum, and that is by now secured and cleaned up a little bit, and the bridge is being painted. Yeah, and they make the beautiful Roosevelt Park there, FDR Park of the Four Freedoms. So it looks entirely different now. And this photo is, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old now, and it looked entirely different. It was a complete different city experience. And here we have some newer ones. Yeah, that's the Geary down in Lower Manhattan. Okay, we are nearly done with it. So, as usual, photos, I think, win extremely when you clean them up and you reduce and cut the clutter out and try to keep it straight up. Where are we here? Yeah, very good, but what?
63rd Street?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's about there. It's the old Armory building, which is now the headquarters of the Parks Department, which has, by the way, a publicly accessible roof terrace, which I wholeheartedly recommend to hang out on the summer. And the building itself is really interesting because it has all these militaristic attributes all over. So here you see the railing of the stairs outside. The lamps on the outside are shaped as drums. There are old murals inside when you go into the building. So it's really fascinating to walk around. You can even get guided tours there. Capes Bay, very good. Yeah, that's the other I.M. Pei tower next to the one south of Washington Square Park. It's a similar settlement down there. So, second last part, we have 10 points, is for me it was the biggest fun to put this book together. I had about 150 contenders, which I wanted to have in the book, or I had space for. And how do you put this all together? You want to put this on pages in paper, and you have to let things swing a little bit. So they have to cooperate and work over the pages with each other. The Intrepid, very good. And the second one matching to this is the Peking. We had that before. And in the book it looks like this at the end. So I started to combine things over either materials or shapes or patterns, or sometimes about colors. So this is Times Square, the famous Roy Lichtenstein, which was posthumous, so he was already dead before they hung this up. Yeah, I was there at 4 in the morning to make sure that nobody would run into the frame. It took me some effort to go there. Okay, that's pretty easy. I took it in for the combination where you see material works very well, the steel, the structure of it, the colors. And we're nearly done. Last point is every picture should tell a story somehow. I'm sure you know where we are here. There's not too many. Yeah, exactly. And that is before they turned it all into LED, so this is the old lighting. But I thought it was just great with all the reflections that we can make it all, we can handle it all. And then this police cruiser pulls through right at the same, right in the right moment. So it's a big red, white, and blue on this whole frame. This is a very funny story. Does anybody have an idea where we are? On the High Line, very good. So you know this already. There was a painter living. Hiemi Cho is her name, a Japanese painter, who lived right on the level where everybody was walking by, and that added up to 30,000 people a day who were staring into her apartment. She wanted to be left alone, so this is not herself, but it's a painting of herself, because she needed protection from all these people gawking into her house. I think we're pretty much done. I have one last thing. I want to finish this with a quote of John Steinbeck, who said, "New York City is an ugly city, a dirty city. Its climate is a scandal. Its politics are used to frighten children. Its traffic is madness. Its competition is murderous. But once you have lived in New York and it has become your home, no place else is good enough." And I hope they keep it that way. Thank you very much.
Whether you're a hobbyist or a professional, B&H has the answers to your questions. Experience a world of technology at our New York City Superstore. Connect with us online or give us a call. Our staff of experts is happy to help.